Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this is my detailed presentation of the astrology of January 2022. It's a detailed presentation, but do see also my video and blog posts that are the general introduction to the astrology of January 2022. You need to see both. Now, the first thing I want to say is that a renewal and rebirth current is flowing in several different life areas now, and we need to identify it. A net of strong energies offers us possibility for empowerment and rebirth now. You might be feeling there's almost like a now or never call to sort yourself out, to sort your life out now. I do. You might be feeling you have important work to do now. It will be really helpful if you identify ways and methods of bringing in the change your heart calls for, and identifying and then walking your proper and needed new path ahead. Get in touch with me for an astrology reading. Go to my Star Wheel Astrology buy page. I'll be so glad. And I think so helpful to work with you on this. But looking a bit ahead, we will each be increasingly strongly called to connect our life direction to our heart vision. This is when Jupiter enters Pisces on the 13th of April and Neptune enters Vedic Pisces on the 18th of April. And at its highest, this double entry into Pisces by Jupiter and Neptune has the potential to produce the most wonderful and the most needed visionary current, which, if properly handled, will favour needed great intuitive breakthrough, needed healing. A mystical current will be increasingly offered to each of us. We are travelling through a strange new terrain now, each of us, both individually and nationally and internationally. It will take skill, vision, personal empowerment and positive growth to handle this. Chiron too transits Pisces now, bringing definite healing energies for Pisces and the other signs, Chiron aspects, especially Vedic Virgo. So now let's look a bit closer into the energies of January 2022. First of all, I want to say, please do note that you can see all the charts and the ephemeris of planet movements in both Vedic and Western astrology for January 2022 if you go to our January 2022 Star Wheel Astrology website page. And also on that page, all the wonderful parts of our January Astrology and Healing newsletter are listed. You can also look up the area of life that will be affected by the planet's movements through the signs on my House Interpretation website page on the Star Wheel Astrology website. And above all, you can enroll for an astrology reading with me to go super deep now into how these so important new energies can affect you and your life and your chart natally and predictively in both the vastness of Vedic astrology and the needed insights of psychodynamic Western astrology. And it's a special feature of my astrology work for 25 years that I combine the two, Vedic astrology and psychodynamic Western astrology, and also evolutionary Western astrology. So go to the Star Wheel Astrology buy page to get a reading. So the first new energy flow to note is renewal, rebirth, and empowerment. This is being offered to you, to each of us, around January 2022. This is because a number of planets are making a conjunction with Pluto in the heavens now. Venus is conjunct Pluto twice in December 2021, the 12th and the 24th, and then again on March the 3rd. Mercury is within 3 degrees of Pluto all January, and conjunct Pluto exact by the end of the month. Sun is conjunct Pluto exact on January the 16th, as well as empowerment and rebirth possibility. Control issues will arise around this time, individually and socially. Importantly, Rahu, the North Node, is joining energies with Pluto in a 5th house aspect from Vedic Taurus. Now, negatively, of course, these Pluto aspects can raise a control agenda. And of course, this does fit in totally with the closing Pluto return transit of the USA, which will have its first exact hit in March 2023. And during this time of the USA Pluto return, so many power and abuse and darkness issues will rise to be dealt with in the USA. And the way they will be dealt with so vastly will affect that country and therefore the world. So each of us is being offered a Pluto experience now, which includes rebirth and empowerment. But it's super important to understand the other planet energies in the energy net, the new energy net in which we now find ourselves in. It's a big new energy flow. And I think the first dimension of the new energy flow I'd mention is woundedness. Our wounds may be felt at this time, but with a crucial call for us to find healing. And this is because Chiron is square the new moon of January the 2nd. So if you try to connect to the new moon and meditate about what it means for you and for the lunar month ahead, identify wounded features of yourself that will be expressing and try and identify how you can heal them. The second strand in the energy web is healing and empowerment in love. Love issues will be felt strongly. And note that our highest reaction to any love difficulties is to share and heal them. This is because Venus is retrograde from December the 19th to January the 29th. And at the time of the new moon on the 2nd of January, so important to realise, the new moon is in a Venus-ruled nakshatra. The nakshatras are the super wonderful lunar 27-sign zodiac of Vedic astrology, which so supremely describes our emotionally based consciousness. And the new moon's in Purvashada nakshatra ruled by Venus. And note that Venus at this time has a very special status. Venus is in the ancient, vast wisdom of Vedic astrology. Venus is both a Vargotama, in the same sign as in the Navamsha chart, as the Rashi chart, and thus particularly open to divine inspiration. The Navamsha chart is the 9th harmonic chart, and there are 16 major harmonic or divisional charts in Vedic astrology called Varga charts, each of which gives supremely wonderful special declaration about a particular area of our life. But also at this time of the new moon of January the 2nd, Venus is in Pushkara status, a very special ancient wisdom which states that a planet will be expressing itself in a wounded way but can become the healer. In fact, it is a Chiron type expression within Vedic astrology. So at the time of this new moon, Venus is Vargotama and Pushkara. It's a very special opening. Attune. Become aware of areas of woundedness. Heal and embody the new healed you. Now the third strand within the energy web at this time is revolution. Revolution may very well be forcing its way into your life now. This is because Uranus is at 16 Vedic Aries and Uranus is squaring Saturn at 17 Capricorn now. Also, we will be helped even more for innovation, change and revolution. This is because Sun and Moon are trine Uranus for the January the 2nd new moon. Furthermore, Uranus turns direct on January the 18th. The revolution energy goes more and more powerfully direct. And Uranus squares the Sun on January the 30th. So, connect to the energy of Uranus, which was discovered at the time of the storming of the Bastille, which was discovered at the time of the Declaration of Independence of the USA. Storm your own Bastille, declare your own needed independence. An independence which is needed in order to fully, successfully, lovingly relate. Now the next thing that is crucial to be aware of is Khalsapur Yoga. Khalsapur Yoga is a fraught divisional energy, and it will also pervade now. Fraught, divisive energy. The background energy context of Khalsapur Yoga is pervasive, fraught and divisive. It can be monumental, on occasion fated. This is because Khalsapur Yoga, which means all the planets on one side of the nodal axis, is in force from the 5th of December 21 to the 25th of April 2022, and even when the moon moves to the other half of the chart, the other side of the nodal axis, the divisive energy does not cease because we have an unsupported moon, Kimadruma moon. It can make the mental disturbance of the divisiveness and fraughtness even worse. Now, Ketu is still transiting Scorpio. Ketu, South Node, always retrogrades and is right into the early degrees of Vedic Scorpio now. So be aware that many of us will be forced to explore our deeper psychological issues and hurts now. But with the call there to bring us to moksha, salvation, and healing, perception, healing and strength. And the big thing is, the next point, the nodes change sign this April. It's super important to be aware that the nodes of the moon change Vedic sign altogether on the 25th of April. Huge new energy impacts will occur. Obviously, especially for people with planets in Vedic Libra or Aries. Ketu moves into Vedic Libra, Rahu moves into Vedic Aries. Ketu is the south node, Rahu is the north node. Fated, uncontrollable, destined events will occur, both extreme and positive and negative. Positive and negative. We need to be aware of that. And of course, various other signs and houses are aspected by this new nodal axis. It's so important to have vision. I have found such help from vision work for the last 25 years. Although I would add it's so necessary to be able to embody what we discover in vision and to use vision for healing. A pre-taste of the upcoming vision energy rise that I mentioned at the start of this summary, i.e. Jupiter and Neptune entering Vedic Pisces from April, a pre-taste does actually occur from this month of January. This is because of the following transits. January the 5th, Venus retrogrades sextile Neptune. January the 10th, Sun transits sextile Neptune. January the 11th, Mars transits square Neptune. So the next feature is that there is a new moon on the second day of the month, the 2nd of January. Please do see the separate video and blog I've done all about the new moon. But just to note in summary here, it's in Purvashada Nakshatra, which is ruled by Venus, and it's at the same time as Venus is retrograde. It's also at the same time as 3 Venus-Pluto conjunction sequence. So the call is to really focus on healing your love scripts and your love issues now. We must be open to the expansive possibilities for insight and guidance that are there in this new moon, because this new moon falls in the sign of Vedic Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter the Guru. So do see my separate blog post and video all about the new moon of January the 2nd. Now the next point in the detailed astrology summary for January 2022 is that Mercury is retrograde. And as someone with Mercury retrograde in his birth chart and Mercury conjunct Ketu, okay, right. Well, anyway, Mercury is retrograde from the 14th of January to the 3rd of February in Capricorn, transiting from 16 Vedic Capricorn back to 1 degree of Vedic Capricorn, so i.e. turning direct on the 4th of February, and regaining his pre-retrogradation position on the 24th of February. Now, most of us need to be really careful about posts and admin, communication and IT matters when Mercury is retrograde, and indeed during the shadow period when Mercury moves into what will become his retrogradation area, and the period after he has gone direct when he hasn't yet regained his pre-retrogradation position. But this particular Mercury retrograde does have a couple of twists you need to be aware of. Rahu, the north node of the moon, is aspecting Mercury throughout his retrograde. And this Mercury transit pushes Mercury closer and closer to Saturn. So Mercury is caught up in the Rahu-Saturn combination, a fraught time. You know, Mercury affected by Rahu is sort of driven and vague and, compulsive. And yet Rahu combined with Saturn is rigorous hard work. And all our communications and our thought processes and mind states and our enunciation of what we need to communicate will be affected by this energy. It's important to see that, to understand it, to take your time, and to maintain good, proper and efficient Mercury communication or operation throughout this period in January, February 2022. Note that Mercury's retrograde periods in 2022 all occur in Vedic earth signs. And I think this will create something of a tipping point to ground finances, financial matters, where recession tendencies that I could list in countries' economies may, up to this time, have been artificially postponed or denied. I certainly see this in the UK. I suspect it will happen in Ireland, despite all the hot air and verbiage from the politicians. Now note that Jupiter transiting in low dignity in Saturn-ruled signs at this time was the tipping point for the Celtic Tiger bubble burst, the recession that started 12 years ago, the Jupiter orbital period. It does look like recession features will arise, certainly in the economies I have some personal knowledge of. Right, the next feature in this detailed study of the astrology of January 2022 is the full moon of the 17th of January. And what I would say is watch out for my upcoming video and blog post about this very pressuring full moon on the 17th of January. So the full moon is at 3 Vedic Cancer in Pushyami Nakshatra, 27 Western Cancer. And the sun is at 3 Vedic Capricorn, 27 Western Capricorn. But note that this sun is conjunct Pluto. Note that Uranus is square Saturn. Note that Mars is square Neptune. This full moon has nasty aspects from Saturn and Mars. We will all feel vulnerable, unfortunately. We'll all feel pressured. We need to prepare for it. Watch out for my video. A big feature coming up is that on 18th of January, Uranus goes direct. Uranus has been retrograde since August the 19th, 2021. But at 16 Vedic Aries, Uranus now goes direct. So there will be an intensification of the Uranus revolutionary impulse in our consciousness, in our body energies, in our expression of ourselves. There will be sudden changes, violent impulses. There will be revolution, shock, destruction of complacency. The truth is that the last time Uranus was in Vedic Aries, it was the time of the rise of Adolf Hitler, the burning of the Reichstag, and the coming in of the Second World War. Okay, the next bit is Mars. And then I'm going to mention the Sun. Mars is in quite a complicated position in January 2022. My point is that last month, December 2021, Mars was conjunct Ketu in Vedic Scorpio. And so those of us who have planets in early Vedic Scorpio had a horrible, fraught, cutting time. Though with great healing opportunity, if we could see that, if we could encompass that, if we could achieve that.